the endless days and nights of cleaning and feeding, Mitchison's freedoms are fascinating. For anyone who has not fallen pregnant or raised a child, but who has been caught between the fearing and the yearning, Mitchison's recasting of the obligations of parenthood is also irresistible. Mary has a biologist's eye in her attention to cause and effect, and is obviously interested in how our physiological structure directs our cognitive and moral frameworks. Her tone is professional, even impassive. She sees no disconnect between scientific exploration and reproduction, and is not surprised that her expeditions involve physiological experiments of more than one kind. Her pregnancies defamiliarize two discourses, one of scientific knowledge, the other of motherhood, at the same time. Her acts of conceiving are not something you balance with work, it is the work. This conceptual reorganization is akin to a shift from Ptolemaic to heliocentric conceptions of the universe. The baby is no longer the thing around which everything revolves, rather it is the woman's body and her decision to experiment with it. How one feels, cramps, blood, cell growth and death, hormone swings, is a site of analysis rather than a vaguely taboo topic. The first time I read Memoirs of a Spacewoman, I felt relief so strongly that it registered as a kind of digestive ache. Here was a woman who had thought about birth in terms I instinctively understood, but rarely recognized in the world around me. Mitchison grew up in Oxford, England, the daughter of a scientist, and was educated at the well-regarded Dragon School, the only girl in a classroom of boys. She was regularly allowed into her father's laboratory. With her brother J.B.S. Haldane, she carried out a number of experiments exploring Mendelian inheritance patterns in guinea pigs. These were all good augurs for her intellectual independence, but when she turned 14, her parents decided to homeschool her rather than send her away to boarding school as they did with her brother. Although she later studied at the University of Oxford, she was a day student, enrolled in a women's college that had a different course of instruction than her brother's college, barely a mile away. Mitchison knew what she was missing out on because her brother allowed her to pal around with his friends in his college rooms. It was Haldane, not Mitchison, who published their early genetic experiments with guinea pigs. And it was her brother who, in 1924, published a small pamphlet titled Daedalus, or Science in the Future, which described a future in which children would be grown in artificial wombs. Although Mitchison had been taught the pleasures of intellectual independence, no one actually expected her to use her mind to make a living. Education was an enrichment rather than a necessity. By her own account, she married young in order to achieve freedom from her family. As a young woman, I had more freedom than Mitchison did. I was able to attend school as a teenager. I left my country, Aotearoa, New Zealand, to study and later teach at Oxford University, where I regularly cycled the road north from town, past Mitchison's family house. I did not have to marry to escape anything. My economic independence was precarious and completely necessary. To make ends meet as a graduate student, I tutored at multiple colleges throughout the town. By the time I'd left, I had lived at 5 colleges and taught in at least 7. I knew the strange eddies of thinking that were created when academics of different stripes dined with each other night after night. It was not a surprise to me that a speculative fascination with babies in bottles ran like a current through J.B.S. Haldane's and Mitchison's social set. One of Haldane's friends at Oxford, who became close to Mitchison too, was the writer Aldous Huxley. Huxley went on to write probably the most famous novelistic exploration of ectogenesis, the development of embryos in artificial conditions outside the uterus, in Brave New World, which memorably features a vast room filled with row upon row of babies in bottles.